Are you the one?
I've lost count of how many sunrises I've seen since I've arrived on this island. Hundreds, I'd imagine. Yet each one seems more beautiful than the last. Sometimes, I like to take Athena out just before dawn and watch it while flying through the morning sky. I'd been holding out for a change in weather before studying the wildlife of this island's peculiar tundra region. Not that I was unhappy exploring the reefs and rainforests back in Oz. Clearly this planet has no actual tilt, stomping around the outback, no seasons. Since I got here, ice and snow I've had the opportunity to study creatures that no other biologist has even witnessed. The tribe that calls themselves the Howling Wolves has really made this northern adventure a lot easier. Well, the climate during the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods that many of this island's creatures hail from, I don't think I'll ever be able to repay that day for just so an up there I am putting the finishing touches on the mammoth dose. It'd be plain that all of a sudden a Tyrannosaurus starts attacking the herd. Struth! I should remember to collect a Tyrannosaurus wading through the bloody snow? Anyway, I asked the Howling Wolves at the nearest camp, and apparently this is a common thing. But I think I'm ready to make my own way. It just doesn't make sense. To make real scientific How can a Tyrannosaurus survive in this climate? Animals undisturbed. How can the natural habitat of an apex predator not shift the entire ecosystem? They provided many answers. All the predators in this region have very similar diets. With so many different predators hunting the same prey, the populations of all these species shouldn't be sustainable. Helena, yet I found nothing to indicate that any population shift. I've realized that there are more predators than prey across this entire island. The longer by almost double. The more I realize that this how any ecosystem is supposed to work. Its climate is out of sync with the rest of the island. Tyrannosaurus frolicking through the snow for me to see millions of years ahead of the dinosaurs. It's plain as day, and the ecosystem is almost static. Add in the human factor, something's off, and it's impossible for this island to continue as it is by natural means. There are giant obelisks floating in the sky for Pete's sake. What? Not to mention the island's wildlife being monitored and curated somehow, similar to those found at the base of said obelisks. Maybe he's come to a similar conclusion, except for those oddly shaped holes that were carved into its podium. I really need to visit Rockwell more. About all that. It's so long as I had to be around someone of his experience that still has so much excitement for his work. I was happy. And talking to him now always helps me gain perspective. No. As for the island's ecological abnormalities, not before I arrived, Rockwell reassured me that I was jumping on Rockwell's recommendation that I missed heading south to start an in-depth study of the island's scientific laws with the help of a tribe called doesn't mean it follows no scientific laws at all. Because the ecosystem of the ocean that surrounds the island is separate from the ecosystem on the mainland, validate old correlating patterns between them. Before I latch onto my theory, isolate and understand this island's scientific abnormalities. Otherwise, I'm no painted sharks have treated me like I'm my ass off for so long since I showed them Rockwell's letter of extended stay on a tropical island. I don't think I've eaten better. Marine biology was never my strongest field. Not that it's a high bar. The ocean. Still no answers as to why the megalodons are so territorial. My research, but I was privy to something even more extraordinary. Megalodon mating behavior. No one's ever witnessed great whites rooting around back home. So that alone is monumental. And they are extremely. But I got something even better. I know. What could possibly top watching megalodons having a bit of training and then more tracking the female? Well, I was able to observe sharks for almost the full gestation period, and get this, that not it only lasts 1 week. Certainly not so easily. 1 week. Sharks aren't mammals. No wonder the population is so high. A whole herd of giant pups with 44 times the rate of Aussie great whites. You shouldn't shake them now they just shouldn't be trying to keep them period. They evolved in Oz and just declined to me. 16 interference from after the dinosaur dogs who were re-socialized among a bevy of as though they had a genetic history. If I know any genus, it's this one. And from my observation should not exist yet. One is even trying to conquer the artifact is perfectly natural. It's a zoo. This platform won't be any better off. How did I not know mating right away? How they socialize. I really am interested. Well, the Howling Wolves secretly trust someone that was a quiet mice of. But after hearing about what happened to the Iron Brotherhood, then it follows. So many as far as they'll go. The beast it's understandable. I know you don't leave me in a shield beast queen without being. If a giant spider and I get in a scrap,
But when I see this giant storm will lead to whatever
even
thought
control
we
on
on
my
the
side.
island's ecosystem.
I prefer to
So
avoid
please,
it.
if the other
Maybe
islands
it's got more
have
intestinal
way
fortitude.
that
My aim
feels
was
true,
not
and
a
I got
great fist
that
like
means I have
somehow.
to find a
No,
whole
you
new
know
way
how
of
go.
life.
She was able to
surviving
pull out
whatever
again.
happened.
But
Don't
this
you
nerve
know
glad I'm
the
on a
good
big
water
jam
like that?
incarnate.
I already
Certainly
found
wasn't
some
negotiation.
Jupiter's gift to the
But I
island.
wanted to
Attention
rub it
around
like
here
that.
before we head back.
I think his ego
the
is
leader
actually
introduced
counted
his
safe.
when
When
the
the
guy
guy
unburned
unburned
was
was turned
released,
and he's not even held beside my head of a dragon.
He
He
let
let
me
me
survive
survive
my
my final
sadly,
and our
as
conversation
much as I would
got
enjoy
joy
seeing
seeing
him
so
fall
flat on
his
his
face.
I may as well take
I get
advantage
the
of it.
feeling
I need
that'll
him.
change if I
And
don't
I
need
realized that
him.
had I just ignored the signs
Not
that I
that
have
so
set
when
to
he
keep paradise
asked
at face
me
value
to guide his forces to
I'd
the
still
hidden
be happy
cave,
and free.
the only way
I
I'm seeing this
obliged
through
without protest.
is
But
that
that
I've
have
guessed
guessed
of
what
the
he'll do
new
with me
legion.
afterwards? I don't think so. I don't know. After a lot of thought, I've decided that I'd rather die seeking the truth than living in an illusion. That, as Rockwell would say, is the path of a true scientist. Not that I'm Galileo battling the church or anything, but hey, it's something to hold on to. Though I've been received by the Iron Brotherhood, they didn't seem very pleased to see me, especially when I mentioned Rockwell. That's a first. Add to that the rather deserted, gloomy state of their compound, and I'm starting to feel a bit apprehensive. Their leader can't return from his hunting expedition soon enough. All I've confirmed so far is that yes, they gathered all of the artifacts Rockwell sought, and yes, the artifacts were able to activate one of the obelisks. You'd think they'd be celebrating such a monumental discovery, but it's just killjoys as far as the eye can see. Go figure. I suppose it was a bit naive of me to think that someone with the moniker of Beast Queen would roll out the red carpet. I guess I got used to all of the friendly treatment that being an associate of Rockwell's earned me. She did let me stay at least. And she hasn't instructed her dinosaurs to kill me yet, so that's a positive. Not that she'd really need the dinosaurs. If that glare of hers gets any more intense, I'll probably just burst into flames on the spot. Struth, I hope she eases up. Sifting through raptor excrement with someone watching is harder than you might think.
I am absolutely astonished, shocked, flabbergasted. Why in the world was Miss Walker investigating the obelisks at the side of such a savage woman and without notifying me first? Was she intending to discover their secrets behind my back and keep them all to herself? These tribal negotiations give me a headache every time. And after I the Black Thumbs are mad that the painted sharks sunk two of their barges. Unfortunately but the painted sharks say that the barges were too close to Southern rivals, and they were perfectly within their rights to sink them, as per the Southern Isle Accord. Any chemist worth his salt knows the irreplaceable value of none the wiser bother until a tonic has been rigorously mind-winded. It is less useful than water. Keep my presence concealed from her altogether. Such is the fate of the island's most respected tests on Mesopithecus serve well for early trials,
fresh fish.
but they are no replacement for
Perhaps I'll
genuine
side with
human
them.
subjects at later, safer stages. By subjects, I of course mean willing participants.
Miss Walker's
to prepare
impromptu
to risk
visits
mild
are always
headaches
an
and
unexpected
much less mild
pleasure.
nausea for the sake
After
of
that
science.
headache with the sharks and
The laughing
Blackfoot,
skull,
lively
offered
tea-time
rather less
discussion
willing
about the
participants at
abnormalities
one
of the
point,
Ark's
but I
ecosystem
declined.
was precisely
With
what
how
I
difficult
needed.
it is to find volunteers
Thank
these
goodness
days,
I've managed to find an
I
intellectual
sometimes regret
colleague
it.
that shares my love for the sciences. It saddens me to think that Miss Walker's charming colonial accent would keep her out of the more prestigious
This expedition to
institutions
White
and
Sky
societies
Peak
back
has
home.
been just splendid.
Another of the Ark's
top to bottom.
wonders. The weather's
It is a
been
true
marvellous. I
meritocracy,
found excellent
unlike
floral
any in the
samples,
modern
and
world.
the local hunters had more
If Miss
woolly
Walker and I
rhino
could
horns
find
than
and
you could shake a
cultivate
stick
more
at.
minds like ourselves,
I even managed to
we
find
could
volunteers.
create
Sadly,
a
my
scientific
Freya curry trials
turns
cannot
out
begin
that it was
immediately,
simply a matter of
as the volunteers
linguistics.
have a much more
Those who are
difficult
wary
journey
of
to
experimental
Rockwell Manor than I
potions
are much more
After all,
receptive to experimental. I couldn't very well
food.
carry every one of them on
Once my
Archimedes.
endothermic paste was
Yes,
rechristened
the
Freya
Argentavis
curry.
could clutch one of
People
his
were
talons,
clamouring
but
to
I've
test
always
it.
having
Found
readily
the practical
available
subjects
subjects
has
has helped
nutritional
my
values.
experiments.
The rest of the Ark may be
tremendously,
embroiled in
even if their
feudal
numbers
savagery.
were in a
Just
favourable
always
language.
maintains his
Not only was I able to
diversity.
curb the side effects of
At
my
any
Freya
rate,
curry
I
had
had my
endothermic
assistants
properties,
renovate the guest
but
compound.
I managed to bring
Naturally,
out an
I'd
additional
never let
benefit of
strangers into the
mixture.
manor proper.
Now,
But there's
it
no
also
reason
lowers
their
the
stay should not
subject's
reflect my
metabolism,
civilized
letting them go longer without needing food. Marvellous! I hadn't even considered that as a possibility.
To seek out
Well, with
volunteers
all
for
I've
my
learned
next
from these
experiment
among the
I
island's
imagined that I
larger
could reverse
tribes,
the effects of the
I
curry
thought that
and
surely
create a
they would be
concoction
willing
to
to
aid
help after
survival
I
in
patiently
extreme
moderated
heat as
so
well.
many of their frivolous disputes.
I must find more volunteers.
How idealistic of me. Instead, they have yet another favour to ask. Apparently, there's a new tribe that's behaving rather aggressively, and no one can successfully negotiate with its leader. So naturally, they have turned to me. I found the
It's
report
rather
on Mr.
bothersome.
Nerva to be
But I
rather
can't touch their
exaggerated.
logic.
And as an
If
Englishman,
Sir
one
Edmund
might
Rockwell
imagine that
cannot
I'd
reason
view
with
Roman
this
Nerva
leadership
fellow
with some
then
disdain.
who can? Yet, in my experience, I found Mr. Nerva to be both honest and intellectually engaging. In fact, after a lengthy conversation, I dare say that
How
Mr.
can
Nerva
these
has the
tribal
right of
leaders
it when
be
it
so
comes to this island's
short-sighted?
politics. As the Romans
Yes,
created
the members
Pax
of their
Romans,
respective
perhaps
tribes who
this
volunteered
new
for my
legion will create
battle
Pax
tartar and
Arcum.
shadow steak saute experiments have been experiencing
I've
prolonged
decided
withdrawal
to take a
episodes.
brief vacation
But can't
from
they
the
see that the
laboratory.
benefits outweigh the
Point
costs?
I say that I've
I
decided
created
to,
the whole thing
mixtures
with
that
my
can
assistant
bring out
Isabel's
superhuman strength,
She
speed,
noticed that I'd
and
been quite
coordination
rough
in
lately and
ordinary men,
suggested that I
and they
take
can
a
only
lot of
focus on the
time to
negative.
myself before rushing
Simple-minded,
headlong
my
on the
next
experiment.
When I chose
They
that
even
remote
banned their
escape
members from
from
partaking
partaking
in my
experiments.
Spelunking
Ridiculous.
ridiculous.
I'll not let them stand in the way of human progress.
Within.
Eureka! They may not
My theory was correct, but surely my assistants are basically fascinated, definitely responding to the artifact proximity and vice versa. I don't even recognize them. I feel foolish for not attempting this sooner. The stylistic similarities between artifacts and the obelisks floating above the island seems so obvious to me now. Or are there similar artifacts just waiting to be discovered just at the island? Joyous little bizarre. While both the islands How invigorating. Isabel was right.
There are no other signs
exactly what I forgotten the origins of this little excursion.
Like a young man again.
What kind of mad
Did
idea
you yourself not
gallivant
see
about
piece
some
of
remote
decor
island,
anymore?
building towering structures with comfing knickknacks that he can't give up,
Before vanishing
barely
any time at all
I didn't
to study
note
the
we are
obelisk,
apparently
suddenly
not
set out
standing
again.
on it this time to that cave hours
piqued my curiosity.
She feasts on the
Before
before
arriving,
she knows more
I would have dismissed the idea of it if I had instantly Mr. Nerva is see that I am the superior scientist. After I see I am his official advisor, while she is his prisoner. After many days privy to my scouring the island upon Archimedes, and many more fruitless conversations. Yes, there was a dragon on the other side. Whatever is in that cave, I shall be the one to decide. I have finally found the submarines as I need are mine for comparison, not Miss Walker's or even Mr. Nerva. I am mine. One side of the globe to the other in the blink of an eye. And I'll wager that has just started. I will never get truly definitive results with only message change for my artifact. The Brotherhood agreed to report any findings to me straight away. I see now that Isabel was right. I admit there are times when it is useful to live among
too much of now. For example, I was able to trace several gallons of my lazuli. If I cannot find human subjects from the nearby tribes, and I shall have to make do with trials on apes and monkeys. And they never questioned whether it had been tested on humans yet. Time to capture some gigantic. I suppose if they return with another batch of apes, then I'll know that Lazarus chowder doesn't cause asphyxiation, won't I? It's not exactly a conclusive scientific trial, but I suppose it will serve. Unfortunately, all these primitive primates have given Rockwell Manor quite the pungent odor. I am perplexed. Isabel said she is working on some sort of air freshener. I just can't find the passion that I once had for my research. I truly thought that my recent adventure had lit a fire in my belly, but I constantly find myself losing focus. Confound it all. Perhaps said adventure itself is the problem. Thinking about it, I am always eager to discuss the obelisks and the artifacts I found with my assistant. The latest broth of enlightenment trials have concluded, and as expected, I am disappointed in the results. Something that, though the primates I tested it on showed increased aptitude for learning, I do not believe any of them maintain truly a higher level of intelligence. Matters. I must give myself bugger the little blight, as I say. My assistants have almost finished preparing my supplies for my next expedition. Not only, after much deliberation, the Iron Brotherhood ahead of my departure, Mr. Nerva's offer. Truth, the Legion is not beloved by many other tribes, but from me, Charlemagne, beloved by his enemies. Just what my studies, I would trust you to be able to make right side of history. I'll find out as part of our agreement. I will need to travel with Mr. Nerva for a time and wait to study the obelisks until the new legion has taken care of some smaller matters useful for the powerful tribe on the island. Greetings and salutations, Isabel. She will take excellent care of it, gracing your eyes. Well then, you have had the good new frontiers. Find the journal. Excelsior, Edmund Rockwell, stupendous scholar, gallant gentleman, and explorer extraordinaire. And if twisting those theories will convince Mr. Nerva that I've met some unseemly end on this fascinating but exceedingly dangerous island that I call home. I suppose you could have also stolen it, or I could have misplaced it, in which case please proceed to either hang your head in shame or return it to me at once, whichever is appropriate. Regards, Sir Edmund Rockwell.
Presiding almost solely within the island's swamps, Diplocaulus natatori nutrix is a small amphibian that primarily eats minor fish. It rounds out what I consider to be Leopleurodon magicus, is a mid-sized on the tinier, non-insect typically between 20 and 25 feet long, being a common I've yet to directly encounter one myself. But from the tales because so many creatures prey on it compares to no other on the island. The rumours indicate on Corinthus beautiful is a generally passive fish. However, its main form of citation, which is so environment, usually found in the Corinthus does not around the island. They say that the strange relationship is in a very high allows it to affect one's remote. I'm not sure on Corinthus every nearby creature along with nearby refugees it's like to start symbiosis long we stay there are only few in addition, it has a speed advantage over any non-human creature with other Megalosaurus needs large quantities of most notable being a monster that causes creatures to become enraged most times without immediately on sight. Smaller fish are the sole exception I've seen. New drone eggs. I believe this is because they cost more energy for megalodons to catch. So long as they remember to wear specialized beekeeping. Having access to the resources honey and treasures, Ionia ignatus is another of the islands that generally does hold herd of sea creature. Many hunt to megalodon, though difficult to domesticate. Apis drones proves to be a very useful when Smilodon, so they can be used for solitude. It's not the most generally found, but it should be able to protect your cargo. These would find themselves in a hostile encounter. Among the island's tenacious pack from the bitter is Hyaenodon dirus, a carnivore most often found if uses its tusks to dig up roots of raphis, then uses its spirally solid dodo to its mouth. Smilodon the dumbest creature I've ever seen for a fight. And watching a baby around attempt to take island Hyaenodon very quite amusing, not to fight while it is already weak to prey. Perhaps you can't rest nearby. They are all islands either way. They won't as a pack of presents has developed many creatures getting cornered or run knowing by a gigantic fairly it is a fairly large fish it is among they're intelligent. This is most shocking and their natural catch mentality is Dunkley are sadly more surprisingly it could work. And keeping some around primarily you have a hard light, and they generally better avoid or outside is incredibly useful. Taming gigantic much of the is a is a rise on a oil formation how the otherwise and Dunkley are indeed if taken here is another example and yes, make sheer size is a bad power so long as you don't have some fraction it's enormous high-powered landscape and voracious shallows as well and direct creature display makes it ideal like all tooth if it desires to grab a predator the bugs with tears of interbreeding through surprise normally target a manta mandula is a carnivore only in that its creature can utilize and struggle fortunately manta mandula
usually not aggressive. In addition to rapid tail and hunted by the size of creatures, sucking high, which explains, while not the fastest in the catfishing community, unlike most mates, if you can manage deadly uptake long enough dedicated from net, fighting strike any hour, one of these straight operators came to the naturally right. Its capabilities is increasing effective, while the most powerful antagonist, which is a designated incredible game jab that rushes the iguana species has incredible distinctly fascinating many others reaching makes that much more likely to daily fast very strong. Primarily a rather lethargic leap, which allows ability native to the island's lengthy riding makes it a situations where creatures ahead of it has quickly shift however great numbers today has very Calico Fairy is frightened is more painful than a useful aid despite the hassle when someone always and the Gallon family unlike the island like any so many choices simply ability to outrun picks and in nature allowing the final Gallon defense even nervous when he plays finding larger ways to battle predators simply runs away and uses smaller creatures shy away from among the fish there are two general camps not one camp thinks that finest trained and makes infinite playtime habits becomes a rather devastating primarily specific when it is given folders to the other contrary Nigeria is a nice example. The creature is not surprising. It has traits that can be derived many times on jellyfish. Camps of brains have seen many medically transport tribesmen as every finds thanks to students is fairly and bioluminescent larger. This all comes more than away from the seen although simply not once you settle one. Nigeria is not generally it is navigational energy supplementary that tends to become generally just as terrifying the creature has practically no shield and just attaching a heavy nearby while the attachment in a direct oriented measure strength is a very for some reason complex as Nigeria is fairly more involuntary if you like there's no effective way to choose a last most tribes kill one team to take out identity forms the brain has a straight role and the this game some men will eat from the hunters no one size is the overwhelming size but their tendency to form when few can make sure is no transnational counter and allows also any given mega has a very shy while Mesria is not quite as long the it is always these like some of their antics as well and we retain when so I was I mentioned their high pliable foods unlike many pouches they are very adept among the bottom of the island dinosaurs because of their sheer size and their ability to go massive I it is content but I have had all day alone gorgeous itself is that they can be sized ambitious and non-aggression non-aggressive to the back generally found in mountain sleeping while a large and they can indirectly target fat Pegomaticus is likely to deploy any height instead of larger species at which perhaps even better very ancient has increased expressed as how very different reactions against many similarities generally use the creature as a smaller twice to live much damage to be primarily it appears larger distinctive meanings its tail as found it is slightly larger slightly forage but that's still significant it has a little palm it seems in addition, many seasons while most aggressive and like many there is one ability while the other is sometimes not taught by someone like human dimensions the Ichthyosaurus is very what you're doing. Titanosaurus is likely to be a colonization of the restaurant and not everyone being retained Allosaurus is pteranodon. Those who appreciate speed personality take those who remind of Aristotle power however, spiders of Allosaurus which along with its leading stops on the relative mobility, it is much more time. Is one of the least pound champion of not only but when encounters around just by near the size of any other general, rather than by with another large species, Melanocetus, an angle of pestilence, is one of the most angular I've ever found, and it is typically found using those dark ounces of has an array of bioenergy underestimated at the end of and it primarily tracks in prime tracks, but it doesn't behave as any creature. It is small in comparison to the right to the ocean. Survives in space, barely running, relatively gigantic, but is rather shy. It is a large and dense Benson man, usually by nature, and this remains one tail. They can obtain one survive as long that is having built up and making it possible to come down safely. As you've heard, some overquine careful it is a type of interest. Barring some surprises, I cannot carry enough. In fact, I can say that Dragon is not large like most survivors, and is mega specialist in combat. While it is it lives primarily in wetter, nomadic though not often extreme prey. Some survivors scavenge off fighters, sometimes primarily of course, the insects do have I don't know to call that honestly, I'm not quite sure how science the way delicate dimensions every step it is found actually it's very it doesn't divide much. I don't say I credit the completely unlike most animals, which diet is the most non-hostile going about its daily routine, Giganotosaurus and Nocomys ever a creature was small. That is, this is until intruders to hunt where it not attack together, a carnivore is naturally derived. It's a immense size, most often. There is no reason to run from an nutrients they are used one of the few creatures is strong and reliable to it can carry Plesiosaurus and the fact that our bodies are nearly standing near unlike most survivors after a smaller relative it is one of the characteristics of Helicobacter is a water-based power primarily it is one cell and naturally fast including that it is a solitary they seem to live primarily of small white while their limited stature perhaps is they avoid it is most aggressive which leads to believe many days of when the target is like most times highly biological and that is used in honestly came charging on the face of out of place shoots sex vibes and can attack large tyrannosaurus the trial of Brachiocephalus generally it has a short temporary or a large transversal and survivors generally on some level additionally it is essentially makes a nightmare attacks do not like a spider many families and do not seem to fires weapons like running away because its venom is harder than a spider due to its ability to bite large areas. Much like the eyes, it has Megasaurus is an aggressive massive cave headbutt that is large enough to stop to very fast. Unlike most caves, that wasn't in a group. It is a primarily common term is a natural dawn of Triceratops megalodon like the island's other arthropods. And this practice, after spend Triceratops megalodon spiders conversely, if disturbed during there is very megalodon is first eat meat after it is largely eaten away as long as it is kept far from vertebrates. In the domesticated organism, blood makes very strong Triceratops to the point that it can rally large megalodons. Their strength makes it is also found only in the deep depths. The creatures and disease they are too small to finish ready to terrifying many creatures as likely to hunt as they are as formidable serious and that wasn't enough. While Megalosaurus is not ready how are you ready to split? It is still highly like monster that instead the Megalosaurus is relatively uneasy to maintain. It is an almost entirely military is a medium-sized animal quickly almost everyone makes it able to defend creature also makes it is generally while hybrids and intelligence are the strong this doesn't mean they are without intelligence they are a wonderful source it is normal and their digestive tract it is a massive nose like the cuddle they sometimes leave baryonyx incredibly larger as a large has no spice and the rest is large enough when domesticated Dimopodon has not as large normally sea creatures and streamlines enabling two passes unlike other large animals extremely fast while highly tastes still sufficient whether the intelligence on island as to megalopodon and yet despite being a dangerous side as a large baryonyx it is fairly transparent not like others finding out as a large island and is not as weight down additionally virally categorized hunting I don't have to feed most perhaps baryonyx really but Tesla baryonyx using water spends means that one creature naturally gathers between its speed and power quickly baryonyx makes an ideal isolation for anyone interested in frequently Mosasaurus could probably carry insulin tanks and to rally its naturally due to its height, size, and specialized you will often find tribes with bases and defenses built upon a mosasaur's large platform mounts for strange people. Having one with you as an many tribes don't probably one of the best oceanic defenses but available. Some enjoy the ability to take large vertical hops up huge walls and cliffs. Regardless of how it's written, Beelzebufo is almost employed for its ability to quickly cull insects and convert them into always useful cementing paste. Leadsichthys conviviumbrosia is probably the largest fish in the waters around the island. Its meat is also extremely succulent, a surprise given its size. It is often traded with the same value as prime meat, and colloquially called prime fish. Of course, not all Leadsichthys meat is this high quality, but most of it is. While the demand for Leadsichthys meat is high, Utahraptor prime, the fish is an incredibly aggressive subspecies of Utahraptor between its large size. Powerful it tends to travel incredible in small hunting packs when it turns to flee, smaller prey with and humankind's general ineptitude on open water. When hunting and killing a Leadsichthys, the pack leader one of the island's more difficult tasks acts as a battle cry. The hunt for an extremely elusive breed or fight if you hear the call from afar. It's hard to believe the pack be known to drive otherwise one sensible men raven intense mad with obsession. One of the fastest fishes on the island with the Utahraptor and nested near the and they practically assail their advantage upon closer inspection around their prey. Despite its large size and the fact that it may be strong enough to carry heavy loads, I find it strange Leadsichthys does not appear to be intelligent enough to so skittish. Nevertheless, unlike other primes usually kill its it is more likely to flee, thrashing and biting. I suppose the decision to cultivate from any trouble. What the Utahraptor species live on an island it makes up scrape off the gargantuan beast. Rather than chase down small creatures enough to sustain its massive size, pounce and pin its prey to the ground, rather than chasing it around. Have a very specific role on the island. Its normally aggressive nature, slow to be an efficient local transport, become one of the primary Gigantopithecus vibrorator. The tri-striated scouts for large collectors. It is usually quite powerful, but it has a very short temperature that comes used by these masters of the sky. Once another creature gets a vast quantity of gentle giant, a steady stream of meat and human cargo from one base to another without tiring. I have occasionally seen Gigantopithecus jumping to grab vines that it can traverse and swing on, but otherwise,
It seems most happy to lay about, picking berries from plants lazily. In addition to being at home picking berries, a tamed Gigantopithecus can be taught to harvest the fibers found on many island plants. Unlike many of the herd animals on the island, it appears to be entirely content to pick at plants in small family units, eat the berries. I believe they can afford to stick with smaller groups because of their incredibly thick skin. Playful once for which they're named. Gigantopithecus, despite not being among the largest creatures or riders it's carrying, Ankylosaurus is one of the more difficult creatures that takes down one of the island's largest creatures. Armored clever seems to make it more than a match for several of the man-sized predators that would otherwise hunt it. Instead of size and intelligence, are just as likely to hurt themselves on Ankylosaurus speed as they are to get hit by its tail. When fully matured, without a doubt, it generally only reaches about half the size of the rather enormously dense tail. Diplodocus is powerful enough to quickly shatter the rocks rocks of the island. Is a one of the wealthy very tribes on the island. It avoids the ground as often to its in its mines, preferring to stay in safety. The creature's affinity for a few predators enables it to carry. I've not seen an Archaeopteryx outright giant creatures so it's possible that they cannot generate enough Lazarus to do more than glide along any sort of doesn't fight back against. I'm not sure how a creature so fearful of the ground can be such to Diplodocus Archaeopteryx. It cannot support the type of platform tear apart small most likely explanation is that it tends to nest eating many seemingly oblivious to the hunting pattern saddle, which because of how not large enough to bear the full weight of adult traditional riders, Archaeopteryx still has great peaceful tribes despite the creature's inability to fly or to attack nearby enemies while on the move to mobilize their amicus fidelis. Its size and strength that common holds onto the island creatures only about 2 feet long. Taming is not high on the food somewhat troublesome. Unfortunately, as it refuses to eat, the island's process of taming glides to prospective safety at the first time. Despite being among the island's some may think this is an Apatosaurus is an incredibly resilient Argentinosaurus. It recovers some other and health much faster than most strange island, which makes rendering the one doing the research unconscious. I'm convinced that this genus, not entirely sure, and no one can tell me an extremely loyal pet. My study populated it's a very fast learner. It is surprisingly so it gains experience much more quickly and is a solitary predator. So no pack to back it up. Its presence nearby appears to inspire allies, power making them learn more rapidly as well. The only thing that allows this very aggressive, is an excellent addition to any tribe's hunting party. The claws of Therizinosaurus are some of the most versatile biological tools I've encountered. As adept at removing trees and foliage of Mammothus dinosaurs alongside dinosaurs, as they are at piercing the thick shells and hide of towers over many defensive creatures if backed and doesn't seem to fear anything. A tamed Therizinosaurus is one of the most would-be predators out of their way can have. Mammoths can grab be trained to use its claws their powerful trunk or delicately and manage allowing the rider to primarily harvest. I have encountered efficiency. I wondered how herds whose behavior were able to find enough plant life to graze on. And also shame claws can pull straight through the toughest arms and stomping branches out of modern domesticated mammoths generally thrive for carrying large loads and such as many herbivorous. They must spend much of their time traveling between the mountain's cold and more lush base, and the males and maybe ranges from 8 to 12 feet unlike any other forest racidae. Mammothus is a highly difficult species to domesticate. That is just barely not because they are inherently stubborn, but because knocking one out uses its wings primarily takes balance during its high speed. Once tamed, however, forest racidae is found herds of islands that can stand farm trees without shattering. That is assisted and their trunks stay strong enough to lift and carry survivors and other interesting traits related to their tribes. Survivors have been saddling up their mammoths to ride in tandem. Every now and then, the more clever riders have many similar traits will attempt to utilize war jumps and predator patterns. Turns out, although it's the jump comes from lightning fast fashion. Once their slow onus is run down by a pack of raptors, is an effective one tribe has grown particularly attached to harassing and scouting. Riders of forest racidae. I don't know the tribe's actual name of a fast, but I refer to them as ground-based. Sheep is one of the smallest non-avian dinosaurs on the island from a flyer. Incredibly fast, assuming the rider can coax forest racidae into staying in the air over a long leap. Aggressive towards anything regardless of size, Microraptor fancies itself an apex predator. It will attack humans on sight, especially if it's not alone. When hunting, Microraptor's speed is only one of its assets. While not quite capable of sustained flight, its wings allow it to stay aloft for several seconds while jumping. This allows Microraptor to attack its prey's vulnerable areas, as well as search for small river fish. Notable, the creature also tends to use this ability to knock oblivious humans off of their mounts. While not a powerhouse against armed enemies, Microraptor is particularly suited to dismounting enemy riders. Microraptors' natural tendency to attack weaker creatures means they can ignore the mount while attacking the rider with leaps of fury. Moschops cebu mutante in the wild is a lazy, cowardly creature that typically lives in the island's forests, primarily making its home among the great redwoods of the western regions. It survives by being extremely flexible in its eating habits and completely averse to fighting. It never starves, since it can eat just about anything. It runs at the slightest provocation, but is still often preyed upon. What makes Moschops particularly interesting is what it can be trained to do with its eating habits. With a versatile palate and tough teeth, Moschops can be tamed for a unique ability. Over time, it can be accurately taught exactly which things to gnaw, increasing the likelihood of harvesting the specific resource its master desires. For example, teach it to prioritize chewing prime meat, and prime meat will be easier to harvest from the flesh it consumes. Likewise for rare plants materials, and so forth. Just don't expect Moschops to protect you though. Even after taming, it will quickly flee when enemies are nearby. Regardless of being fed well, increasing its strength, or how much affection you shower on it, Moschops retains its inherent cowardly nature. Its lack of combat might deter the use of this companion, but the ability to ride Moschops while making use of its diverse harvesting is a rare treat. Found along the island's many inland waterways, Lutra peloso have become exceptionally adept at hunting and foraging. This species of otter has to be particularly cunning because of its diminutive size and fierce competition for its preferred food source, fish. It is not a creature that excels at combat and would not naturally pose as an intimidating threat to any predators. Finding packs of river otters is simple enough. They are distinguished by their elongated bodies, bushy tails, and webbed feet. Their trusting and inquisitive nature ensures they are often hunted for their lustrous fur, but many prefer to tame them to become trusted companions. There are few creatures which provide the companionship that Lutra peloso does. Rather than travelling beside you, it would prefer to comfortably rest on your back, providing insulation. Once domesticated, it can be told to harvest fish on demand, with a specific goal in mind from the fish that it consumes. The otter has a knack for foraging. Thylacoleo is a large and can even yield a slight that can often be found hunting around the trees among the island's redwoods. Its long claws and semi-opposable digits make it an apt climber, a quality that Thylacoleo uses to its advantage while hunting. It clambers up large trees and waits to ambush passing prey by pouncing upon them. When something that large jumps onto a target, the victim becomes stunned and doesn't stand much of a chance. Thylacoleo's most notable fighting quality is its powerful jaws. Once it bites its prey, it locks its jaw in an iron grip that can hold most smaller creatures in place. Thylacoleo then goes on to savage its prey with its sharp claws. If it needs to escape from a fight, Thylacoleo uses its muscular hind legs to jump back to safety among the trees. Thylacoleo is a moderately strong mount, and its ability to climb trees and jump long distances makes it useful for traversing. The Eutyrannus sievus, as such, is believed to be related to the Tyrannosaurus rex, small but it is noticeably different favour Thylacoleo, as it is well suited to ambushes not necessarily and unfair dangerous predators in the same light as other theropods. However, the Eutyrannus strikes fear into even the island's most skilled hunters. There are few wild predators that are able to pack hunt alongside the generally hostile Carnotaurus, like the Eutyrannus does, with such ease. It is also the only creature I've seen to consistently induce a state of panic in opponents with its roar. Upon hearing it, most creatures in the area will flee for safety. A domesticated Yutyrannus can be a powerful offensive or defensive addition to war parties. With its mighty roar, it can induce fear in opposing creatures. Meanwhile, Yutyrannus can be trained to develop a confidence-boosting battle cry, which counteracts enemy attempts to induce fear, while also bolstering the resolve of allies, and may even draw wild Carnotaurus to its aid. These unique leadership qualities make the Yutyrannus a versatile and, at times, a necessary creature to have on your side during large-scale confrontations. The most interesting thing that I've observed about Mei Yin's animals has been what they don't do. They never fight. Among creatures that have been domesticated for generations, like cats or dogs, that's normal. But there's a reason zoos keep their animals in separate enclosures. Certain instincts are hard to curb, and there should definitely be more disputes among such a diverse group. Mei Yin has even integrated a herd of herbivores into her army, as their thick hides have proven resistant to fire and explosives. Yet despite being surrounded by carnivores from Mei Yin's camp, they remain untouched. I've concluded that the animals on this island are not only used to take anything away from Mei Yin, used to captivity. She works hard to treat and train her animals accelerated growth rates. Their behaviour indicates that they have been regularly domesticated she's not mute, for decades at least. I don't go full biologist. Otherwise, they'd never obey the whims of mankind so easily. With that in mind, but it's been kind of refreshing. I believe that my theory about this island being curated is back in play. In fact, it's possible that not only are animal populations being controlled, but that the animals themselves are genetically modified. However, before I bring this to Rockwell, there's one more rumor that I want to confirm. This is the smoking gun. It has to be. I simply can't be convinced that this place is natural, after finding an island populated entirely by carnivores. Even if they fed off each other, which is awfully dubious given that carnivore meat is much more likely to carry harmful parasites than herbivore meat, the landmass is so small and their population is so dense that they could never maintain it. Yet there it is, hidden away off the northeast coast of the island. Someone would have to understand why the Iron Brotherhood's leader didn't want it. There's no way that Rockwell can deny my theory now. All it does is remind him of the tribesmen who died seizing it from that giant spider. Can it really be useless, though? They described the artifacts that activated the obelisks as looking similar to it, so I headed to the nearest obelisk to see if I could get a response. No luck. Maybe it activates something else. Of course. The platform in the cave. It's a long shot, but it's the only thing I can think of that's similar to the obelisks. Definitely worth a try.